Yo, what's up guys? You got pokeaim here with my week 7 team builder for the P4G. I'm coach of the Bronx Beartics, and this time we're taking on my boy Leo, SixFtHax, coach of the Durham Druddigons. Now, Leo is currently 6-0, just like I am, so whoever loses this game will be 6-1, and the other will be 7-0. So we definitely both want to win. However, I do think that we will see each other in playoffs. I do plan on making playoffs, and I think Leo will make playoffs too, just based on his track record. So you'll definitely, I don't think this will be the only battle you see between us, depending, of course, how that stuff ends up going. But I always go into this, I want to win, obviously, and I hope you guys have been enjoying my run thus far. I definitely made a mistake last week, but I made sure that this is the team that Leo is going to use versus me. So we're good. There's no Crobat transaction, no transactions that can change it. Leo confirmed it. We're good. So let's talk a little bit about his team. First off, he has one of the most threatening teams, I think, to us, period. Nidoking is a pain to switch into. Noivern is so fast, faster than my team, and a pain to switch into, especially if he wants to run HP Steel or Corkscrew Crash Iron Tail, which is something I expect. And then Heracross. Heracross is so annoying, whether it be SD, Flame Orb, but mainly Scarf. I think Scarf Moxie can be the scariest one that we can fight. Honestly. That is the scariest one that we can fight because it has a speed tier to outspeed, my common Scarfers, and by that I would say like my Mesprit or whatnot. It has a C tier to outspeed that, maybe even my Scarf Incineroar, and it threatens my team, all of it for super effective or neutral damage, just good coverage. Same thing like my Hariyama versus him. Hariyama threatens him same way, but obviously Heracross is faster and gets away with Moxie or Guts. Now, I do want to give a big shout out, of course, to Count, as well as Sticks and Zazo. I tested with them, so thank you guys as well. And obviously, Chimpact and Aki and Maddie and Gypsy for always giving advice and whatnot. So I appreciate you guys. So this is a team that I ended up coming up with after, test and when I had a few changes. But first off, I'm bringing Focus Sash Roserade this week. Roserade speed tier is pretty important this week. It outspeeds everything that's not Salazzle or Noivern. Speaking of which, he has a Salazzle, which is also a giant threat. But it more importantly outspeeds Nidoking and Heracross, which is really big. Now, I wanted Focus Sash HP Ice because Noivern is a giant threat, right? And in the 1v1 situation, it can beat a lot of my team. Of course, unless I hit it with Scarf Ice Beam or whatnot. You guys see I do have Scarf Mesprit. So I wanted Technician boost HP Ice. That'll knock out Noivern 100%. Focus Sash allows me to take Hurricane, Supersonic Sky Strike, Flamethrowers from Life Orb or Specs variants, so it allows me to tank that. The HP Ice also does like 75% minimum to a Yachi Berry Noivern, which is pretty big because Stealth Rock obviously will allow that to pick up the KO. I think spikes are really important as well. As you guys see, I do have a Mesprit, and it's a really bulky Scarf Mesprit, which relies on Spike to knock out Nidoking, as long as it's not running like HP investment or something like that. Leaf Storm just hits him hard, hits Steelix hard, hits Marsh Stomp for the KO, hits Slowking incredibly hard. Originally during testing, when I first started, I was dual stab, Leaf Storm, Sludge Bomb, Sleep Powder, Spikes, but I hit all my Sleep Powders in testing, and I was like, no, this is not going to work in the actual game. So I decided on HP Ice Extra Sensory coverage. Extra Sensory hitting Heracross super effective, as well as Salazzle. Actually, there's a good chance to KO Salazzle, and 100% KOs it with Spike Up. And Focus Sash lets me be in that 1v1 situation. But yeah, it's like a suicide lead Roserade, but I don't use it as that. But if he leads like Salazzle, or if he leads Noivern, I'll click the super effective button versus whatever's in front of me and attempt to get up a spike later. Just max special attack investments, so my HP Ice, my Extra Sensory, and my Leaf Storm hit incredibly hard. And yeah, that's Spikes and Technician. Next up we have Hariyama, Flame Orb Hariyama. Now, I was debating on going speed on this, because like Gorgai's super and whatnot, I can outspeed. But I ended up going as much bulk as possible since Heracross is a giant threat, and same thing with Nidoking. So I just wanted to be able to live a hit. We're Flame Orb Guts though this week with Fake Out, Knock Off, Close Combat, Facade. Originally I was dual priority with Fake Out plus Bullet Punch, which allows me to better deal with something like Noivern or even a Heracross in the late game. If they're both worn down, of course. If they're like at 50% or whatnot, I can beat them with Fake Out and a BP. But Chimpact told me, well, Gorgeist is a pretty big threat to the current build you have, so I opted for Knockoff over that. I like Facade a lot too if he wants to bring like Cobra Berry, Slowking, if he opts to bring that. Not sure if he'd bring that versus me. It does take hits from Zydog and he could have Ice Beam on it. Originally, my build had like Zygarde, 10%, and Incineroar, but I wasn't feeling that confident versus Heracross. Right, that was just in Team Builder. Right, this isn't even the testing phase. It's just in Team Builder. I had those Pokemon, and I was like, no, I like this a little bit more. So this is a Pokemon that's incredibly hard to switch into for him. His defensive backbone, Steelix, Umbreon, Slowking, all of them are 2-hit KO'd. Gourgeist can be 2-hit KO'd too. Even if it has a Cobra Berry, depending on if I have Spikes and Stealth Rock up, it can be 2-hit KO'd. Probably should run a little bit more speed, but I wanted the bulk to take hits from Salazzle and whatnot. So there's a mon that he's not knocking out with one hit unless it's like Adamant Banded Heracross or a Specs Noivern's Hurricane, or even regular Noivern's Hurricane, but that, you know, that has to hit. So I say maybe a Z Hurricane obviously will knock me out as well, but that's the only one that can hit. Every other one is unreliable. But Hariyama just helps me check that Umbreon, Steelix, and it really breaks for my last Pokemon. You guys will see what the set is. So next up we have Mesprit. Now I decided on Choice Scarf Mesprit this week. He has really fast Pokemon, Salazzle. He has Noivern, he has Heracross, and Nidoking. I like Scarf Mesprit because it's able to check all of those. Ice Beam allows me to knock out Noivern, also hits Gourgeist for some decent damage. I have Trick, more importantly, because this cripples his fat, whether it be Umbreon or Slowking, both of which can be switch-ins, and a Choice Scarf on either of those mons, they don't appreciate it at all, especially if it's Calm Mind, or like a Cursing Umbreon, or like even a Wish Protecting one. It getting tricked, a Choice Scarf, really cripples what it can do. Psychic is my third move, as that allows me to obviously knock out Salazzle, do good damage to Heracross, and with a Spike Up, 20 special attack investment with a Spike Up, knocks out Nidoking 100%. I ran 140 speed because that's the speed that I need in order to outspeed max speed Noivern with a Choice Scarf. The rest was just pumped into HP and Spadef to potentially take a hit from Noivern if needed, to potentially take a hit from Nidoking if needed, Slowking if needed, and then I have U-turn for the momentum. So Mesprit is more of a pivot. It's a check just in case things go wrong versus setup mons or even just Noivern in general. Obviously Scarf Heracross does outspeed me and threatens me with Mega Horn, but besides that, it's not meant to take on Scarf Heracross. You know, I have a few options for Scarf Heracross, as you guys see. First off, I have a lot of bug and fighting resist on my team. So I have 2 fighting resist and I have 2 bug resist on the team. So Heracross, if it's Scarf, it has to lock itself into a move, and 2 of my mons have Protect, as you guys will see. So Scarf is a little bit less dangerous. Flame Orb one is really dangerous in a 1v1 situation, but it only outspeeds certain Pokemon on the squad, as you guys will see. And oh, sorry, I was just replying to something. And yeah, I just think Mesprit was just the smartest. I wanted to put Healing Wish on this to help support the team a little bit better, but I needed Trick. I feel like Trick was just so good for crippling my opponent, and Ice Beam and Psychic were necessary. Dazzling Gleam was also an option over Ice Beam, but Dazzling Gleam does not knock out Noivern from full, and it's not worth it if it can't. It's not worth it if it can't pick up that KO. You know, it's definitely not worth it. So yeah. Love Scarf Mesprit versus him. Next up we have Diancie. Now, Diancie is going to be a defensive pivot in this point. It's going to pivot in on Mega Horns from Heracross. It can live 2 close combats from Scarf Heracross. Guts boosted Jolly Heracross does like 55% with close combat. The HP and defense investment allows me to take a Hurricane into a Protect on Corkscrew Crash into an Iron Tail. Now that might seem really situational, but I'm positive if he brings a Z move on Noivern, it's going to be Corkscrew Crash because this is my best switching, right? So that allows me to take that from a naive or whatever that's not minus attack. It will be any Noivern that's not minus attack. So I think naive is the most likely, but it allows me to take that. Like I said, I switch it on rocks. I take the Hurricane. I Protect. He Corkscrew Crashes, and then I take the Iron Tail after. That's what that defense investment lets me do. It also lets me switch in easily on Heracross's Mega Horns. Again, I take 2 Scarf close combats from Heracross as well. Power Gem and Moonblast, just good coverage versus team. Noivern's checked by Moonblast, same thing with Heracross. Power Gem checks Salazzle. I also take a +2 Sludge Wave from Life Orb Salazzle. I have Protect as well. I think that if he brings Salazzle, it's not going to be a Z, like a Z one, because I think that HP Grass is a little bit more better versus me. Like typically, it could be Nasty Plot, HP Grass, Poison Z, Fire Blast if he wants to bring that versus me. Definitely a threat. Protect just helps me scout versus Scarf Heracross as well, and this is my Stealth Rocker. And Protect also giving me a little bit more recovery. Like this thing takes nothing from Foul Play from Umbreon, and if it's Fizdef Umbreon, which is something I could see him bringing, just because of my dog and whatnot, and Pokemon like that. Moonblast is 2 KO, it spikes up. So that's just with no special attack investment. So that's why we're running Bold Diancie this week, mainly as my switch into Noivern, my Scouter versus something like Heracross or whatnot. And yeah, it can just honestly put in some work versus him, in my opinion, obviously. So next up we have Seismitoad. Now, versus in the team, I really didn't have a water switch, and Slowking can be a threat. Steelix is also a threat because my best switch-ins to it, while they can take hits, like Hariyama can take a hit from Steelix if it needs to, I didn't want it to because the difference on damage on Hariyama could be the difference between Umbreon, which outspeeds me. I was thinking about bringing Max Speed Hariyama, but I really opted for Bulk. Max Speed probably is a good bring too, but I really like the Bulk. But defensive Seismitoad comes in on Slowking unless it's packing Grass Knot. It comes in on Steelix. It can eat a hit from Heracross if necessary, and it comes in on Heracross if it needs to. It can eat a hit. Protect lets me scout, and also can come in on Umbreon, which I like as well. I have Toxic, Refresh, Surf, and Protect. Surf allows me to deal with Steelix as well as Salazzle. Don't want to accidentally burn something with Scald. Surf is stronger. Toxic and Refresh is really nice because Synchronized Umbreon can't beat me 1v1 with like Toxic and Heal Bell. I mean, if it does have Heal Bell, it's a little bit worse. But I allow this allows me to Toxic Slowking as well, wear it down, and just repeatedly come in on those mons. Like he does have Swirlix as well, which is a good option versus me, I think, if you want to bring a Sticky Web type of team. But I feel like you're already, like, I feel like prepping for me is also a little bit weird as well because of the threats I have versus the threats he has. So I don't think he'd bring Swirlix, at least not in this game. We'll see. But my team doesn't really care too much about Sticky Web. Like, I lead Roserade and it's Sash, it dies, and the rest of the Pokemon, Hariyama, Diancie, Duosion, Seismitoad, they're not meant to outspeed anything. They're slower for the most part. So, and Mesprit's Choice Scarf, which Sticky Web obviously wouldn't affect it all. But yeah, we have, that's the one that learns Sticky Web too, right? I believe it learns Sticky Web. I believe Swirlix learns Sticky Web because that's Slurpuff evolution, or pre-evolution. But yeah, Toxic Refresh, Toxic being able to wear down Slowking, Umbreon, Marsh Stomp if he wants to bring that, Rotom, even Heracross with Toxic plus Protect. I live a Guts boosted attack. I Surf, I Protect next turn. Heracross is in range of Fake Out or dies to Poison. So it's just really solid versus him. And I wanted to bring it as a defensive pivot. Last but not least, I'm super worried about Scarf Heracross. Currently, I have a few answers, like I have Flame Orb, I have Focus Sash, I have a Scarf Mesprit, but that's outsped by Scarf Heracross. Diancie can live +1 Close Combat and +1 Megahorn, but Diancie is also really pressured by Pokemon like Salazzle, Pokemon like Noivern. So, and I'm expecting Diancie to, you know, chew an Iron Tail at some point. So we have Focus Sash, Magic Guard, Duosion. Now with a Focus Sash and with Magic Guard, I would never take hazards. So the way I've been using this mod in testing, and it's been consistent 3 out of 3 games. Save it late game when Heracross is all boosted up. My team's looking kind of weak. Bring it out. I click Psychic after taking the Guts boosted, or the Moxie boosted Megahorn. Knock him out. I can either click Trick Room as well and do a little bit more damage to him as well. I have Trick Room, Psychic, Toxic, and Endeavor. Endeavor's really nice because I would get down to 1 HP and I can Endeavor something like Umbreon. I can Endeavor something like, basically something I can't KO with Psychic. But I changed it from HP Ice to Toxic. I like Toxic a little bit more, as it invites an Umbreon. As you can see by my EV spread, I have Max Attack, Max Special Attack, Quiet Nature. Max Attack ensures that Foul Play from Umbreon brings me down to my Focus Sash. So this is a scenario that I thought about if I have Duosion out and he has maybe Heracross locked into Close Combat or something. He switches out into Umbreon as I go for Trick Room. I go for Trick Room, he goes Umbreon. Depending on the situation though, for most part I click Psychic versus Heracross anyway. But depending on the situation, I Toxic, he Foul Plays, I'm at 1 HP, I Endeavor, Umbreon's gone. Maybe the rest of my team with more Trick Room teams can, like Hariyama on the Trick Room can just wreck, like stuff like that. So it also supports Hariyama, which is why I didn't want that much speed on it. And yeah, it's just been consistent. It helps me not lose the Scarf Guts or Moxie boosted Heracross. So that's the team for this week. The winner of this will be 7-0, which is pretty cool. I hope you guys are rooting for the Bronx Beartics. Of course, if you are, feel free to leave a like. Let me know your guys' thoughts on the team, and I'll see you guys next time. Goodbye, my friends.